such a good guy. He gets these bills. This one's one that is entitled by me casually as Civic Seals, but it's really called the Maryland Civic Excellence Program. It's established. And as the bill came into us, it just said that the State Department will establish some guidelines, and then counties can do it if they don't want to, or if they do, and they can follow their own guidelines. I felt that to give the seals some meaning and the cords that go with it, or the metal or whatever that goes with it. And by the way, we let the counties decide what they want to do to award people, but they should put something on the diploma, that we would establish some meaning. I talked with, and she's online here, but we don't have to go to her unless we need clarification, Jeannie Matthew, who's a big advocate for this, and said, tell me something to make it meaningful. And she said, how about a capstone project? And I said, I love that idea. We want to make sure that that capstone project does not become something that inserts itself into teachers' regular days, that they have to do extra work, principals lean on them, that sort of thing. So the amendment will say that it's a capstone project that is either part of an extracurricular program where the school employee is compensated for their work, or it's part of an existing extracurricular. For example, National Honor Society, they could say, we'll do it here, where the kids would do some work. The one thing we want to is for it to focus on, and this is right, Bill, this isn't the next one, right, Alistair? Want it to focus on Maryland civic work, right? Some kind of Maryland civic work or civic availability. Is that more the next one, Alistair, or is that this one? Because we have two civic bills right in a row here.
I think that sort of applies to both, but the language in this bill is the capstone should be focused on civic service for Maryland state, local, or county government.
So they should do some particular service about civics, and there will still be guidelines by the State Department, and counties can choose to do it. Relevantly, I want to tell you that if a county chooses to do it, they have to make the program available in every high school in their district. And that to me is an equity issue. We don't want the schools that have easier populations to work with or more available teachers to do it. So I think that's all the amendments that we have on it, Alistair, unless you have an extra detail you want to toss in on me there.
No, I think you nailed it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And, guess who has her hand up? My friend, Delegate Miller. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Of course, I have a question. Is this program designed to be as like a club, as like curriculum, like where would this fit into the high school day?
I would say it's a club, if you want to say it that way. I don't think I'd go that far. There can be a group that meets, kind of like a math team or something like that, that meets and does, and there's, there'll be a sponsor. My envision of it is you'd have a sponsor who gets paid some money to do the job. Or like I said, if National Honor Society says, we can do this is part of our National Honor Society work, and National Honor Society sponsors are frequently, I think always, they get some sort of stipend for being National Honor Society sponsors. So yes, we wanted to do it extracurricular. We considered saying it could be part of a class, but you know how I feel about mandating curriculum, and so we backed away from that.
And the high schools, even though they have to do it at all the schools, each high school could do it a different way depending on what clubs they have, because
Correct.
Okay.
They just have to meet the guidelines, and the county can still have some leeway on its guidelines. MSD will provide overall ones. We provided a framework here for how it's done, and a couple of, general that has to focus on civics and civic activity. And then the county, I think, Alistair, we still let them do a little bit of the setting up. Is that right after that? Or do we, yeah.
Yeah, they'll have to follow the guidelines, but it's up to the State Board of Ed to adopt those guidelines.
Right, but they need to be prepared to offer it to more or less all their students if they're going to do it. So that in an issue of equity, if they can't do that, I hate to say it, but just like us in our delegation rooms, if one delegation can't have a room, no delegations get a room. Too bad. So there you go.
All right, thank you.
Other questions on the amendments? Okay, I'll take a motion on the amendments if somebody would like to.
Move the amendments.
Thank you. And I have a second somewhere.
Second.
Got a second, a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendments that I described, please raise your hand. I'll vote for my own. Thank you. And then on the bill as amended. I have all day. Like teachers say, I have all day. I can wait. I can stand here all day. All right, and I saw Delegate Pastor raise her hand for a second, I'm hoping. And so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the bill? Okay, seeing none, I will take a vote on this. Everyone who is in favor of the bill as amended, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 0, and that bill carries. We will send that to committee for a vote. Next, I gotta lower my hand. That AI puts my hand up from time to time. Next bill is a similar concept bill. It also goes to civics. This is the chair's bill. What this bill says is that if students are involved in certain civic behaviors, certain civic activities, that those activities will be considered to be excused absences from school. On some of the activities, we put a bit of a limit, and we got a little more detailed about what some of the more, she had a few activities there. We had a few more on, which she was pleased by. Alistair, I'm not going to try to describe them because you got them put on here kind of at the last minute. Can you tell what the additions are, please? And they're the amendments, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so the bills that came in only applied to testimony made before the General Assembly. The amendments broaden it to anyone doing lobbying or contributing to the consideration development of policy before any public-facing body, which is defined as a body subject to the Open Meetings Act and consists of elected members or those appointed by an executive person, either the governor or an local executive authority. Additionally, the amendments include participants in the Maryland General Assembly PAGE program. The amendments also say that excused absences under this bill must be treated as existing excused absences. And that is the
And we
extent.
have that, I want to read it correctly. Policies and procedures adopted in a section. So authorize a student to be excused for at least 15 hours or 2 school days to testify or conduct civic engagement activities. That's at least. They can have more if they want. We're going to make them do at least that, except in the case of the pages, because the pages have actually 10 days, because they usually come down for 2 5-day periods with us. So we didn't want to ruin it for them. So we said they can be for more. Delegate Vogel, you have your hand up. What's your question, ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm trying to find the amendment again, but I looked at this earlier today. What is the limit on the number of days
We said 2 or 15 hours.
total, like
It's not a
across
limit.
the
It's a minimum. Okay. It's not a limit.
minimum? What do you mean?
Minimum number of days that they have to offer excused absences for this.
So yeah, each county is going to adopt a policy based on this, and their policy can set a minimum limit, but the minimum limit can't be, or it can set a maximum, I guess, but at a minimum has to be 2 hours and 15, 2 days and
minimum.
15 hours. Yeah.
The minimum maximum.
Yes, there you
Yes.
go. Min
Got it.
maxing.
But
Thank
there
you.
will the counties, the LEAs will set a maximum.
Yeah, they can set their own maximum, but it can't be less than 2.
Okay, but we expect that they will set some sort of maximum.
Yeah, I would like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
They're being
Cool.
responsible. And some would argue that we're losing instructional time, but I can't. I
Yeah.
always argue that this kind of outside experience is also a very important form of education.
Agreed.
Kids used to leave
Thank
my
you.
math class, and I used to let them make it up. I didn't for paging, and they'd leave twice.
I would have never left your math class.
Yes, well, yes, with the look I gave you, that's true. That wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Okay.
But
That's all from me.
generally, I worked hard with them. I joked the pages. I said, "Did your math teacher give you work to do?" Yeah. Are you doing it? Sort of. When high schoolers say sort of, they mean not at all. Okay. Delegate Miller, you have a question.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. So can you give me the other activities deemed to be civic engagement? Is that still in there?
Alistair, I'll let you answer that one.
No, there's no longer a catch-all phrase at the end of the bill.
Okay.
The thing is just, meeting with members of a public-facing body, so possibly meeting with, say, a member of a county board of education or a
one of
local
us.
county council or something, and also contributing to the consideration, development, and implementation of policy issues. So perhaps lobbying on behalf of something, proposing a change to a policy, something like that.
Okay, but
And if
only
they come
with
down to, if they, the
legislation.
classic kids, if they come down to testify, be nice that they would know that it was an excused absence.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Delegate Hornberger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So another anecdotal question. What if we wanted to load all the kids up on a bus and take them to the county council meeting to rally for more funding for public schools? Would that be permissible?
the problem with that is you'd be using school funds to rally to advocate
Well,
for a bill.
the bill doesn't talk to that.
I no, but I think generally we'd find out somewhere else that you couldn't use school funds for political purposes. But I don't know, Alistair. In other words, I don't think I think the bill is silent on this, but my guess is if we looked, we'd find that you can't, have kids go and politic for more money for the county school system during school hours and get excused on the school's
Just
dime.
asking for a friend.
Yes, I understand. Alistair, do you suspect that would just be generally unacceptable? Or it might be I think ethically it would cause a problem, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I'm not that familiar with this area of law, so I can try to get back to you, but I believe
Yeah,
Delegate
if
Ebersole.
you could look into
If we
that.
find it's a problem, we'll come back next year and fix that. I
Because
promise.
I mean, I could argue that I'm going to use county school buses to pick up county students to take them to the county meeting, and we're going to lobby the county council and the county executive for more funding for the schools.
I understand the concern. I hope it doesn't get interpreted that way. And I think it might
Okay.
be an ethics problem there.
Let me know. Thank you.
Okay.
Move the amendments.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Delegate Pasteur. Is there any other questions on the amendments? We've had good ones. Okay, on the amendments, all in favor, raise your hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're still waiting for Roberson, but he has his own meeting going, and I knew he wasn't finishing at 4, like he said. So I decided to start. On the bill as amended.
Move the bill.
Okay, I have a motion, a second.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor of the bill as amended, please raise your hands. Pay attention there. Yep. Okay, we got them all. 6-0. Okay, House Bill 828. Other than a sponsor problem, I think it's a great bill. This is adding a member of the cadre of educational support personnel across the state to the state board. It doesn't really add them. It will replace the next vacancy with one. The system is almost identical to the system we use to select a teacher to be on the state board of ed. Should be, that's about it. There's not much more to add. We did add an amendment. I don't know if I had it in the original bill, or if we had to add it, that said in the event that there's a vote on something that now the ESP and the teacher and the student can't vote on because it's outside of what they should have in their purview, that the state board would only need a majority of those members who are permitted to vote. And these are on appeals and human resources questions and things like that. And we added that as an amendment, I think, Alistair, isn't that correct? We had to amend that in. Okay. Any other amendments that we added? Okay. Delegate Hornberger, on the amendments or the bill, I don't care.
Yeah, I was on the bill, but this one prescribes the member that the governor is going to appoint. Is that?
It does. There's an election, and whoever gets elected, the State Department runs the election, but whoever gets elected, it says the governor shall appoint that member who wins that election.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, we're prescribing who he should pick.
Yes, indeed.
The governor can't pick someone else.
Not
Can't decline.
Not by this law, no.
Okay, and then
The problem
how
is
does that?
the governor has to do appointments. That's I think constitutional.
Yeah, of course.
So we have to make him do what he's supposed to do, what we want.
Sure, what we want him to do.
Yes, indeed.
How does that differ from what we're doing now?
Well,
just
the teacher one's identical to that right now.
Okay.
It was hard to do an election to get a parent on the board by an election. So what the state PTA nominates 3 people, and the governor chooses from among those 3 nominees.
Okay.
And the student is elected by students, I believe, Alistair, isn't that
So-
right? Yeah, across the state.
So for this person, we're going from choose from 3 to choose from 1.
Well, I would say we're going from election to election, because to me, this one's more like a teacher where you have a set population that you can identify. Currently working ESPs out there. We went from choose from 3 because the PTSA, they're nominating. We didn't want them to actually pick by themselves. We wanted them to give us 3 choices, because that would be a very small group of people picking. Whereas with the teachers and ESPs, it's a large group of people choosing.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the amendments? Okay, seeing none.
Move the amendments.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's properly moved and seconded. The amendments, all in favor of the amendments, please raise your hand. All right, and welcome, Delegate Roberson. Sorry to have kind of rushed ahead without you, but I didn't want to wait. And you're just such a wonderful addition. I'm glad you're here now. On the bill as amended, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the bill as amended, please raise your hands. And just as with the amendments, that carries unanimously, now 7-0. So House Bill 828 will be sent ahead to committee with our recommendation. House Bill 837, yet another bill with a sponsor problem. This bill essentially says that what we're going to do is we're going to add another layer of care for kids who are coming into sports, whatever form of screening they do generally medically, and different counties have different things. We didn't want to add any requirements for them to add that they would take a screening that is provided by, and there's a phrase for it. It points to the American Heart Association, but ours does not say that they provide. They will do this. They will ask these questions. And if they get a red flag that they consider worth talking about, they will notify the parents and they will notify the school administration. We've done some amending. We had some other things in there. The Pediatric Society was a little concerned about privacy, so we narrowed it down to those two people. We thought the school administration should know if they had a student who might, and then the school administration could decide what to do with that info. I think there's another amendment now, so that's more technical. Maybe if I skipped it, you can take it up.
Thank you, sir. So the bills that came in required a lot of reporting requirements by the State Department of Education and the Maryland Department of Health, and a lot of guidance that's been struck from the bill. Additionally, required that certain pediatric screenings that are mandated by state law for any student entering public school include this health cardiac pre-screening, cardiovascular pre-screening for any students participating in athletic events. That's been struck. The cardiovascular pre-screening is limited to free pre-screenings that are available, and also only for sports that have an existing requirement that a physical examination be given. Finally, the bills that came in limited when a pre-screening could be done to only the 90 days before the sports season started. And this allows it to be done anytime in the preceding year.
The Heart Association did 90 because they wanted to be completely relevant, but there was a complaint that might be difficult, and they were only too happy to say, sure, if they've done it in the last year, that's good enough. Anything else? Okay, Delegate Vogel, question on the amendments or the bill, either one.
Both. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. If you're getting these medical screenings before sports season, you might go to your primary care doctor, you might go to an urgent care. There's a number of ways that you can get these screenings, right? If they do identify something in the cardiovascular screening that is of concern, if you're going to your primary care, I assume that you'll then be referred for further screening and evaluation. Can you tell me more about that? And I know that that's not directly in the purview of this committee, but I'm just interested in what additional resources would be given to these athletes.
Not always a
identified
doctor.
to be a concern.
Some systems just have a lesser medical professional do these screenings. Like not everybody requires a full physical across the state. It varies. And so yes, if you're required to go to a regular doctor, or you choose to go to a regular doctor, that doctor has certain things that they really would be compelled professionally to do. But we didn't put any of that in the bill. That's what falls to them. I think if they saw something, I think a real doctor for a minor would notify the parents. And I think the administration should be notified too, since the child will be playing sports at the school, and the administration should know who they have on their hands there.
Got it. So this is if someone else is conducting the physical examination, right, or the physical assessment, and then they're looking at cardiovascular health, those pre-screening questions, the parents would be notified, and then it would be up to the parents to determine whether they want to get additional screenings or care.
And depending on their level of professional ability and what they're comfortable doing, they may, because they're a medical professional, they may say, I think you should do this. But that's them crossing into the zone where that would be up to them professionally, what they're comfortable doing, I would say. And that's why we didn't put any of that in there. That they
We're
had
just
to
focused on the
we didn't put in that
notification.
they had to recommend certain things or anything like that. I don't think, Alistair, did we? They just had to notify them that this was a bit of a red flag and they should take note. Okay.
So they have to do the
And
screening and
they
they have to do the notification.
Right.
Screening and notification. Okay. Got
That's
it. Thank you.
And they only have to do it as long as it's available for free. We're not going to make them start paying. Right now, the American Heart Association offers it for free, and that's fine. But if they can't, if they decide not to, or I don't think American Heart Association is going anywhere, but if they go away and this is no longer available, then the law says, yeah, you don't really have to do it. You don't have to go make it and develop it yourself. You might, that's risky because who knows if they even have the skill to come up with the right questions.
Great. Thank you.
Delegate Hornberger.
Yeah, thank you. Just trying to listen to the dialogue there. So we ran into this with our summer camps, whereas, we have kids where in order to participate in the summer camp, you need to have the health screening.
Right.
And for whatever reasons, parents are too busy or they can't get the appointment. And I guess where I'm going with this is there a scenario with the bill where a child is not going to be able to participate in something because they couldn't get the screen or didn't get access to the screening or
Many schools don't let kids participate until they've had the more general medical examination, whatever they require to begin
Right.
with. So I would say that this has to be part of it, but they will have already, had access to it at whatever level they had. I've seen coaches who kind of line up, for their kids, medical professionals who will do it either for free or not, or,
yes.
for the school.
But the
And they
alternative
say,
is sometimes
all you
they'll
gotta
tell
do
the
is
kid,
call
"Hey, you
this
just can't
doctor
participate."
and go see him and or her, and they will examine you. But that person would have to know that they have to do this too as part of it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions on the amendments or the bill? Okay, so on the amendments, which I forget what they do, but as described, let's go with that. Anybody, a motion on the amendments as described?
Move the amendments.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Several seconds. I appreciate that. All in favor of the amendments to the bill, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, on the bill as amended. Any further discussion?
Move the bill.
Okay, and I got a motion and a second out there. All in favor of the bill as amended, please raise your hand. Nicely done. Okay, a little easier than yesterday, hey? All right, so now we're up to House Bill 1438. That's a pretty straightforward bill. I think it's not a bad idea. It just says that every 5 years, we're going to require, if it the State Board of Education and the State Department of Education to take a look at their graduation requirements and do an assessment, a reevaluation of them. We don't have a lot of requirements of what that means. It just says they got to do it. Okay. And I don't think we amended this one at all, Alistair, but I'm not positive. We did not. So there are no amendments to the bill at this point. Yes, Delegate Vogel.
Sorry, I'm speaking a lot today, Mr.
All
Chair.
right. It's all right. They're all good questions today. I like it.
Great. What are the current requirements? Are they not already doing this? How
They
often are
do
they
it.
updating it?
There are no requirements. They do it pretty routinely. So I think this is just us codifying that you got to do it if you haven't done it for a while.
Okay, but there's no concern that they're doing it more frequently than every 5 years. And
No, and this isn't saying they have to wait. It just says,
Okay.
also the way it's written, it's within 5 years. Like they doesn't say they can't do it every 2 years.
Yeah,
Just every 5 years they got to get around to it.
I think
Okay.
the last time they did it was 7 years ago, so
Okay.
this would be a
So-
little more frequent, but
And I
It's
don't
on the-
recall the testimony exactly from the sponsor. Was there something that led to this being sponsored?
I didn't get to ask her because it was such an
Okay.
easy bill, so I'm sorry I
Okay.
didn't get to her and ask her that.
That's fine.
So I'm sorry. Can't answer that question. Can't go to where this what brought this forward. But I mean, we don't routinely do graduation requirements in law, so it's good for us to put in law that they should take a look at their graduation requirements, and then that's where we get to put our thumb on the scale if we want to a little bit at that time. Thanks for the question, Delegate Hornberger.
Yeah, thank you, Ogle, for asking that question. The other part that I had is it says that jurisdictions can go above the state standard that's set.
Yes, that's always been true.
Yep. So my question is from a transparency standpoint, are these standards that are going to be outlined, is that in the student handbook? Is the student or the parent or whomever aware of what that is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we've ever made them do it, but in my years, that was always right at the beginning. High school
Sure.
is what you need to graduate from high school here. I mean, there are counties that require more. Some of them actually require, you'll be happy to hear, financial
I
literacy
guess,
as part of their graduation requirement. Some counties require that.
yeah, ag education. There's a Patriot program in Hartford County.
There
I
you
guess
go.
where I'm going with this is this becomes a rub where the student gets to year 4, halfway through year 4, and all of a sudden now the school is saying, "Hey, your son or daughter is not going to graduate." Well, what do you mean?
Okay, so
And then-
it's in the bill. It
It is,
says
okay.
every 5 years, the state board shall, and number 2 is implement changes to graduation requirements for the cohort after they've reviewed them for the cohort entering high school in the school year following the state board approval. So it would not be
Okay.
for the kids who are currently in high school. It would be for the 8th graders coming in the next year.
Okay. And then my second question is, does that hold, because we're doing it 5 years, I'm assuming the 5 is the reason, that holds for you coming in for your whole 4 years?
Right. Once I'm in the high school, whatever those requirements are, they
Those hold for-
stand. They
for 5
stand
years.
until I graduate. Right. I know what they are when I start. It's a great question, and they dealt with it in the bill here, which I think was good. It's not a long bill, but it's there, and I appreciated it. So
Thank you. Thank you.
you bet. Okay, this bill doesn't have any amendments. Is there any further discussion on the bill? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion on the bill?
Move the bill.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
It's properly moved and seconded by Delegate Pasteur then. All in favor, any further discussion? Sorry. We did do a lot of talking. All in favor, please raise your hands. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hands. And so this bill passes unanimously. We just did 6 bills, folks. We are probably going to meet again tomorrow. I'll wrestle with some of the other subcommittee chairs, but it looks like we have a new couple of bills on hearing tomorrow. Is that correct? Okay, so I didn't expect to have hearings. I listed us as 1 o'clock, I think, but we'd say 1 o'clock or after bill hearings. Okay. If we get, depending on how fast things move, we don't have any energy bills on well, we will have 3rd reader. So get ready. We'll see how fast we get done, but we'll squeeze something in tomorrow afternoon, and we'll have a list of bills up this evening. Sorry, they're coming fast and furious at you. Lots of people want their bills done, and lots of people have good bills. So here we go. Thank you all very much.